I'm Littlefoot. This is Sonic Colors DS, and today we ask the question, is that good game design? So why Sonic Colors DS and not Sonic Colors Wii? That's because when Sonic Colors came out, I didn't have a Wii, I just had a DS. So that's the one I grew up playing, that's the one that I fell in love with, and it's better than the Wii version anyway. Everyone agrees about that, I would say, probably. We're gonna be talking about the Wisp powers today. We're gonna be talking about which ones are good, which ones are not so good. Okay, let's go, come on. Boost! The boost feels so good. The boost feels so good to use. This power-up is so good, they decided to permanently put it into Sonic's kit. That's how good it is. That's how generational this power-up is. Instantly being able to go to max speed. Back in the day, you used to have to hit like one of those like boost pads. Not anymore, buddy. Not anymore. Welcome to Sonic in the Big 13, whenever this game came out. 2013, I think. Welcome to Sonic in the Big 13. I love that the boost is an expendable resource in this game because it makes it so that every time you use a boost, you're making an intentional decision. Okay, do I want to like speed myself up at the cost of maybe not being able to do this later, or the fact that I can't do it indefinitely makes me want to be careful when I'm using it. But also it's pretty easy to fill up your boost meter because all the enemies have like the wisps in them. A lot of times there'll be a line of enemies and you'll be able to just boost into them and just keep on boosting because, you know, they're dropping the boost wisp, so you keep going. I must admit, it makes me a little greedy. Sometimes I will see there's a bunch of enemies and then I'll go back and try and boost into them. And then I'll get hit because I suck. But you know, I'm engaging with the system. I'm engaging with the system here because it's fun. Even when I go back and I get hit, it's still fun. It was fun doing it the whole time anyway. That's why I'm doing it. Now the thing is, the boost is so good that this power-up is what every single other power-up in the game is going to get compared to from now on. This is the golden standard, okay? We're going to be asking the question, would I rather be regular Sonic with the boost ability, or would I rather be one of these other Wisp power-ups? They really nailed it. They really nailed it with this power-up. And because of that, it makes a lot of the other ones feel not so great. But I think that's good because this is the one you're using the most and it feels excellent. So I'm glad they got this one right, at least. So Sonic Colors DS does not have every single wisp that Sonic Colors Wii does, but actually I learned that the burst is unique to the DS. So did they cook with this unique wisp? Not really. It's not awful, it's not horrible, it's definitely not the worst one. But there's some problems with it. The way that the red burst works is that you hold down A and then you do like this, like you explode and you fly up in the air, you know, kind of at an angle based on whichever way you're facing. You can also move along the ground at like a slower than average speed. It's cool, it allows you to gain height, and I think power-ups where you can gain height is almost always a good thing because, you know, Sonic, he's got a pretty easy time going horizontally. He's got a harder time going vertically. That's why all those springs exist. But the burst, I think, is pretty good for getting you up in the air. The problem is it's a little too unwieldy. It's hard to control exactly which direction you're going when you're up in the air, when you're boosting. Also, the fact that you have to hold down A and, like, you know, burst and explode to get around, that makes it a little bit difficult. And we gotta ask the question, would I rather be default Sonic, or would I rather be this burst version of Sonic? And I would rather be default Sonic with just the regular boost. It's not entirely the power-up's fault, though. I must say the level design obviously factors into a lot of this as well. And a lot of times the level design is a little too cramped. These levels are not designed with a bunch of open space usually, and a lot of times the larger spaces in these levels will have a bunch of bombs in them. One of the gimmicks of Sweetland is that they have all these bombs everywhere in these burst sections, and you know, you burst into the bombs and the bomb shoots the other way and you lose control. I understand the intention of this gimmick is to add some interaction so you can't just, you know, spam the burst, but like, I want to spam the burst and you're not letting me spam the burst. What's the deal with that? It's whack. I don't think the bombs add a lot. I think the bombs were a bad gimmick. There's also these hot air balloons that exist in Sweet Treat Land. And if you're regular Sonic and you get in them, you just kind of float down. But if you're the burst Sonic and you get in them, it's like, oh, you're providing hot air to the hot air balloon and it like takes you up. Like, you can already kind of do that as the red burst. You can just burst your way up. So it's like, why do I have to get in this kind of gimmicky hot air balloon to take me up to another area? I don't know, not a great gimmick. The gimmicks that go along with the red burst, I don't think complement it super well, which is part of the problem. One of the gimmicks they have that I do like though is these like kind of weird cannon things where if you like jump into them, they shoot you far away. And the reason I like that is because as default Sonic, you can't access those, so it's opening up new paths and new movement options for the player, and I think that's always a good thing. I also think that the red burst works really well in the boss fight that it's in. You know, the way this game works is usually the bosses are chilling up on the second screen and you can't reach them. But when you get the red burst, you can burst your way up there and start hitting the boss. And that's great. It's giving you another movement option. It's giving you another way to hit the boss. It just feels cool too, because you know, normally you're down on the bottom like, I gotta wait for this boss to like become vulnerable and prone. But it's like, no, now I can take this in my own hands. I can go up and I can get him myself. You know, I don't gotta wait for him to come down. I'm coming for you, buddy. I think that's where it really shines. And part of the reason it shines so well is because that is a really open area and you just have a direct shot to the boss. And a lot of the level design just does not complement this one super well. I feel kind of bad giving this one bad game design, but in the levels themselves, it's just not great. It's rather lackluster. It's unwieldy, as I said earlier, and it's just not as good as some of the other ones here. Rocket! The rocket is quite simple in the way it works, and I believe that is to its advantage. All this thing does is it sends you straight up for a set amount of time. And I think that's great because, as I said earlier, Sonic has a hard time with vertical movement. So giving the player an option that is basically just pure vertical movement, I think is great. You're opening up new movement options and new ways to play and explore a level for the player, and that's always excellent. You're also basically invincible while you're in the rocket. If you run into an enemy, you're just gonna blow them up, blow right through them, blow right past them. Bah! And that invincibility should not be taken for granted. You are not invincible while using every Wisp power-up. One of the gimmicks in these rocket levels are these rings, and if you rocket into them, they redirect you, and they usually send you sideways. And they're really fun to use. They also unlock a new path. Anytime a Wisp power-up lets you explore the level in a new way, that's good game design. There's also these like opening and shutting gates that, you know, if you get crushed by them, you're gonna die instantly, but they open and shut on a set amount of time, so you basically have to time when you want the rocket to go so that you can, you know, get through them without dying and getting crushed. Those are pretty cool too. I enjoy those. It's a little frustrating that you die instantly if you get hit by them, but usually you're either just gonna bounce off them because you're too early or you're too late. And if you do end up dying, almost always there's a checkpoint like right before where these gates are, so you basically just get to restart from right there. In the boss fight at the end of Starlight Carnival, you use the rocket to hit that boss on the second screen. And anytime you're able to get up to that second screen and get the boss where it's normally unreachable, I think that's cool. We like that. We like that around here. Rocket's cool, it's simple, it's fun, it's quick as well. A+ for the rocket. Drill! The drill is evil. I hate the drill. Bad game design for the drill. This thing is hard to control, and you're forced to use it for progression. Unlike with the rocket, you're not invincible while you're using the drill, so you can get punked by like anybody and anything. They just walk up and they touch you and you lose all your rings like a bum. Also, if you hit a wall with a drill, you're an idiot. You bounce off of it like an idiot and you lose control and you do this like horrible arc that sends you nowhere that you want to go ever. If you hit a wall, turn the game off. You lost. You died. This is part in the level where you have to like squeeze into this tiny gap, and if you hit the wall, you're an idiot. You die. It's over. You will run out of time to use a drill. You won't be able to get through the gap fast enough, and you're in the concrete, so Sonic suffocates instantly and dies. It's a horrible way to go out, actually. Planet Wisp, which is where you get the drill for the first time in Sonic Colors DS, it has only concrete. That's the only time you're using the drills in the concrete. And it's very punishing. Like I said, if you run out of time while you're using the drill in the concrete, you're dead. Now, I'm not totally against that instant death as a concept. I actually do like at the end of Act 2, you're getting chased by this like giant crusher thing. It's bearing down on you, and you have to get away from it before it crushes you to death. And that part's fun. There's a checkpoint right before it, so if you die, you just get to restart that section. It's intense. It feels like a fun ending to the level. But even this ending section, which is relatively fun compared to the other drill segments, is still hindered by the fact that the controls are whack. The drill is not super easy to control, and if you hit the wall, you're an idiot. You're bouncing for 10,000 years until your inevitable demise. Also, the boss fight for the drill is straight buns. It's awful. You have to wait for it to like use specific attacks so that you can like drill into these like orbs, but also like the orbs can like shock you. They're not like prone all the time. It's the worst. I hate this boss. There's one good thing they do in this boss fight, and it's that they put you in the water instead of in the concrete. And actually, in Aquarium Park, they also put you in the water when you're using the drill and not the concrete. And it's way better for a lot of reasons. First of all, you don't die instantly if you run out of drill power up in the water. You just start moving through the water, so it's way less punishing. Second of all, Sonic's water controls are already not the default Sonic controls. Moving through the water as Sonic is pretty slow, so when you get that drill power up in the water, it actually does speed you up. The way it works in Planet Wisp is you're moving around having a great time as default Sonic with the boost Wisp, and then, oh, I have to do this dumb drill section to progress. But when you're in Aquarium Park, you're like, oh, I have to like move through the water. That's fine, right? But when you get the drill in Aquarium Park, instead of being, you know, contained to the bottom of the ocean, Sonic's got to run around the bottom of the ocean. Now you can move wherever you want. You can swim around freely. You can blow up these fish rings that exist for some reason. In defense of the drill, I would rather be Drill Sonic in the water than default Sonic in the water. However, I never want to be Drill Sonic in the concrete. I would much rather be default Sonic just running through the level. Honestly, the concrete hurts this thing a lot. If there's no concrete, if you didn't have to drill into the concrete, this might actually be a good power-up. But in the Planet Wisp levels, I do not like this thing at all. Laser! This is another good one. I like it, Laser. Laser is similar to the rocket in that it's an additional movement option, but this one has a little more versatility than the rocket does. Whereas the rocket just goes straight up, the laser has a little more versatility. You can choose what angle you want to be sent at. You bounce off the walls. You're also invincible while you're using this because this is a good power-up. Plus you have these cool light refractors where if you hit these, you know, light refractor crystals, they send you along a set path, usually bouncing between other light refractors. There's also these gates, I guess, where if you laser into them, you know, you get shot through and those unlock new paths for you. I don't really know if they're gates. I don't really know what they are. They're these things. They're on the screen. The laser opens up the game. It gives you more options and it's so fun to let this thing rip. I like that you pause right before you use it, you choose your angle, and then you just bouncing off everything, killing enemies, going through these, you know, going everywhere. The boss fight's fun too. I like the way you use the laser in this, where you can fire it directly sideways when he's on the ground and try and get multiple hits as you go back and forth. Or you can also try and snipe him out of the air. I don't usually do that because I'm kind of bad at that, but the fact that you can do it at all is cool. Laser's good. The first time you get the Void power-up, you're along this set path, and there's all these enemies, and you're sucking all of them up, and you're getting huge, and you're like, oh, I'm unstoppable. This is great. Then they put you in this big room where there's like all these rings everywhere, and you're big, and you're sucking all the rings up, and that feels awesome too. And that's pretty much the peak of the Void. It all gets worse from there. The main problem with the Void is that the controls are way too slippery. This thing does not stop. I understand that when the Void gets big, you want it to feel like this huge mass that's difficult to move around, but when it's small, it's still really difficult to move around, and that usually makes it not fun. In these Asteroid Coaster levels, a lot of times you have to navigate the Void through these smaller corridors or these areas where there's this insta-kill acid, and it's really difficult to stop yourself from hitting that insta-kill acid and dying instantly. There's fans in these levels, and if you go into the fans, they like move you along and they help aid with the movement, but we wouldn't really need that if the movement was just better in the first place and it wasn't super slick all the time. This is one really annoying part in the Asteroid Coaster levels where you have to drop down over this area of instant kill acid, and you have to use the Void power-up before you hit the bottom. Obviously, if you use the power-up too late, you're gonna die because you hit the acid. But if you use it too early, there's this really low ceiling that you have to navigate under, and it's really hard to dip under that ceiling and not keep going into the insta-kill acid. Sega knew this part was dumb, so they put a checkpoint right in front of it, and I appreciate that, but they could have also just made it not dumb and made the controls less slick. I don't know, crazy idea, I don't know. Other than that very first time you get the Void power-up, there's basically never a time where I would rather be the Void power-up instead of default Sonic. Unfortunately, I am forced to use the Void to get over a pit of acid that will probably kill me anyway. Maybe because I suck though. Maybe I just suck. The way you use the Void power-up in the boss fight also plays out like a worse version of the rocket or even the burst enemy. All you're doing is flying up with the Void and hitting the boss a bunch, which you could just do with the rocket and get it done quickly. But the Void actually, this boss fight, like, it lags the game out. Like, the game slows down. The Void's a really cool concept. I really like how it plays out at first, but it just doesn't play out great. It's like ice controls in the air. It's evil. I don't know. Ugh. So in conclusion, boost, rocket, laser, peak, burst, drill, void, bad. Burst is definitely the best of the bad bunch. I feel kind of bad throwing it in with void and especially with drill. But when you're comparing it to how Sonic feels, it does just not feel as good. Those three feel like gimmicky movement options versus laser and rocket, which feel like, oh, these are some fun ways to move around. They're gonna unlock more parts of the level. Boost is just so good. Boost is just it's incredible. I know nothing about like cube or spike or like whatever the other ones are. There's like a hover or something. Sonic Colors Ultimate exists too, and that has even more Wisp guys. If you've played both the DS game and the Wii game, please let me know in the comments. But I'd like to hear if like the spike is good or if it's really annoying, or the cube, the blue cube. I don't know anything about it. Anyway, Sonic Colors. Look at my colorful pants. Look at that. That's fire.